Hello and welcome to today's episode of Up Your Vibe. It's all about illness this week and how our beliefs and emotions can affect that illness. We have an expert with me today called Avnita Suri, and she helps people push through their symptoms to find the root cause of illness, their beliefs, and their emotions and current stressors that can actually result in that illness. So welcome, Avnita. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. Pleased to be here.
Do you know what? I am just absolutely amazed about the lifestyle prescriptions that you use to help people with their health problems. It's an amazing diagnostic tool, which I know a little bit about, but I know that you don't want to go into it, but this is what you actually use to push through helping people with their symptoms, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just diagnostic. I actually, like I said, go into the root cause, and we have like a strategy to work with that the client can use to help them get out of illness.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy to talk about it. It's whatever you fancy, Paula. I'm here.
I wanted to ask you something, Avnita, because when you talk about the nocebo effect, can you explain to the audience what the nocebo effect is?
Yeah, so I've created a video in my Facebook group that I've just recently made. And one of the hardest things for me to talk about was the nocebo effect. But it happens when someone tells us something can't be done. So say when we get ill, and the way lifestyle prescriptions views illness is that not that there's something wrong with us, but that our bodies have reacted to stress and trauma. And it happens with any organ. So like my job is to go back, reverse it, and help them to make sense so that we can come out the illness. But the nocebo effect is it happens when we may see a health professional, like a doctor, and we're being told there's something wrong with us, and then we go on to play out that illness. And the interesting thing is that, we think we're seeing evidence and to prove our illnesses. But if you really see that the human body is interacting in its environment and with people and in situations, it's not that there's something wrong with it, it's just that it's reacting. So to be told there's something wrong with you can bring it down. So it's a whole, new concept. It's not new, but it's a whole big concept that really needs to be discussed and bringing it out in the open.
Yeah.
And the fact is that when we see doctors, that it's like the way I relate to it is like a parent telling a child, you can't do this, you're not good enough, because they're impressionable, they're vulnerable, and then it can get worse. So it's not something that I can say in a few sentences. It's something that I would have to delve into and explain. And I have many supporting examples where I've helped people because I've asked them to stay away from these limiting beliefs.
So basically, there's two ways of looking at the particular point that you've made. The first point you've made is that when someone is given a diagnosis, they tend to live to that diagnosis.
Yes, absolutely.
And the second point is that some people get great relief in being given a diagnosis because all of a sudden they can say, oh, yeah, that's why I've acted that way. That's why I feel this way. So I find that quite debilitating.
Right. So you mean the fact that on the one hand, it can bring us down, and on the other hand, it's liberating to get the diagnosis. Is that what you mean? The conflict there?
Yes, the conflict is that then they say, well, all of those things that's been going wrong for me in my body is due to that diagnosis. So it's like using the diagnosis as a scapegoat, really.
Yeah.
and not looking at the emotions. We're not treating a person holistically when we're going down the allopathic route, because they're going to be treated with with medication. Then once they've got that diagnosis, they'll say, oh, we'll give them this medication or that medication, instead of treating the problem. They're treating the symptom.
Yeah, that's how I see it, that we should treat the person as a whole, because like I said, they're reacting to things, and it's on the one hand, it's debilitating to so there's a verification that goes on too, which people do need. So I'm not actually slating diagnosis in total. What I'm saying is we need to bring in the whole person. That's the bit that's imperative, and it's missing in the healthcare system. But yes, verification is important, and I do, like, people will say, oh, this has been happening, finally I can put a name to it. I get that too.
Yes.
The problem with that is that once you get the name, you will then go on to live by it without taking off the layers. So this is a whole paradigm we need to discuss, bring out in the open, and I've been playing around with it, you can say it like that, with myself and with people, my clients, and been getting really, really good results. So that's where I can speak about it and be vocal.
Yeah, so we've actually skipped way ahead in front without even discussing what actually is illness. So what do you think illness is, and how do we get ill?
Right. So look, when people are ill, and I know we have serious illnesses, right, it's easy for someone who's well to go and say, oh, the body's perfect, and you just got to think positively and try and work through your root, cause. But it's hard for the person. So there's a lot of compassion that needs to be used. And I get that. But the way I treat a person when they come to me with an illness is that their body is working perfectly. From that, we can make huge changes, because that's just my job. Basically, I believe in using the laws of co-creation, so that, because now if you keep thinking there's something wrong with you, it's like you hit that block, you're fighting, and you collapse, as in you can't think straight, you have fear, all these things going on. But if you use the laws of co-creation, one of them is that you can't resist things that happen. So then if something happens, this is how I see illness. The symptoms are showing up perfectly for the person at the right time. So if they come to me with whatever, back pain, tiredness, asthma, you name it, I've had a variety of illnesses. I still say, well, rather than, okay, we've got the name, that's fine, but whilst you work with me, please just put it to one side and let's work through how you feel about what feeling it creates in your body. So if they're feeling it in their stomach, let's go and work that out, the colour and shape, the limiting beliefs, and we can find so many answers. The whole thing comes alive. And this is why I think we should all take responsibility for our health, and rather than treating like our illnesses like something that happens to us, it's something that we participate in, and we can move forward from that. So yes, absolutely, I think that illness is it's just a reaction of the human body, and it's a natural sort of reaction. So say an easy one to understand is that when you get a cut on your skin, and you can see the scab forming, and it will feel itchy, and but you don't have to interfere with it. You don't have to say, oh, heal. It will heal by itself. It knows what to do, and eventually the scab knows to fall off. It's a natural, normal reaction. But somebody might look at a scab and think, oh, it's a bit scary, what's wrong with the skin? But it's not. A normal person knows it's just a natural reaction, and that happens, I believe, with the rest of the body, and I certainly just treat it like that, so that everything is working in order.
So far we've talked about the body, how it reacts to our own thought processes. So does this also include trauma and events that we've gone through in our life?
Yeah, I mean, so this is how I would use illness. So say if somebody comes to me with knee pain, I would get them to feel in, and we always find when it started, and it will be some stressful event or something. Actually, it's not even a stressful event. It could be just something small, but it's from the person's beliefs, their values, but we need to work all that out. And so yeah, it all comes in though, like, so just to keep saying to a person, oh, something wrong with your knee, you need an operation, to me, I think, no, but you've missed the point. You may need it. So I'm not saying you don't need any of it at all. No. What I'm saying is do this as one of the first things to do, or at least be okay with it happening. And then we'll see what other options then you'll be able to make more informed choices.
Yeah. And we're talking about chronic illnesses right now, aren't we? Not acute illnesses.
We're talking about both. The chronic, I would say, that's the one I use for my Facebook group that I've created, because I can't hold the energy for everybody. I can't be able to explain everything for acute in that. But for what we're talking about now, illness, it's both chronic, serious, acute. It's just, and the human body, you are reacting, they're your traumas, your stress. And yes, you need help and compassion. And, we have lots of therapies, but first and foremost, we need to figure out how it started, or what's keeping it going, and what beliefs have you got stuck that's just keeping it going and not stopping. This needs to be looked into. It's very important.
So we've actually stepped forward again, because we need to go right back to the beginning of how your beliefs can create a physical symptom in your body.
Right. So, because I'm working backwards.
We are working backwards.
Yeah, but I mean, like in feeling of the symptoms of the person. So I would get them to feel it, and then we go backwards. It doesn't necessarily mean we'll find the belief that created it, but it could be just the event, and then bring in the emotions down of the event. It could be then maybe the beliefs, yeah, but it just depends where the person takes me. I will stay very close with the person and bring their awareness into their body. That's how it is. So, we don't want to just say it's just a belief. If we believe it will happen, it's not that. But also, it's intricate. It's built into that person's body. So, and that's like it's stored. It's the whole mind-body social connection going on. We really shouldn't separate them. I do think it starts to get dangerous when we start to just focus on the organ and not bring other things in. That's the biggest point.
So what we are saying then is that a belief or an emotion can trigger off a response in the physical body.
Yeah. Things will trigger off. Yeah, absolutely. Physical responses. Yeah.
Because you talk about your subject in the way that you talk about it, because it's come normal to you and you accept the mind-body connection, but not all of the audience listening will understand this concept. So what we are actually talking about is the mind-body connection, isn't it?
Yes, for sure. Mind, body and social, how we interact in our environments, how we get triggered off by people, how we get triggered off by situations. Like, our bodies will react when somebody's rude to us, when we lose our jobs, when somebody cuts us up on the roads. Our bodies are reacting all the time, and it's making our whole organs, some organs, to respond.
Yes. Yeah, that's really interesting. And when you're talking about triggering, also it triggers the fight-flight response, doesn't it? Which then affects the hormones that create the imbalances within the body. Yeah.
That's right. It can be anything for any person. It can vary. I just go with the feeling, and it comes alive with all the beliefs and emotions. They will bring it up, providing they can be open to it and understand that things are affecting their bodies. We get the flow in a session.
Yes. I remember when I suffered absolute pain in my neck. And I always laugh about that when somebody says, you're a pain in the neck, or he's a pain in the neck, she's a pain in the neck. And after having some treatment with a therapist, it was found that this pain in the neck was a result of a deep injustice that I'd suffered. And that created the pain in the neck. And once I'd acknowledged that that injustice,
Yeah.
amazingly, the pain in the neck went.
Isn't that just amazing? See, many people come up with these stories. They resolve something, and the pain goes. So this is where my argument is that why do we resort to really harsh treatments when we haven't covered what really needs to be done first? Like, this is very, very important. And like I said, then we can bring in other things, and like other therapies, medicine, fine, surgery. I'm not saying no. But what I'm saying is, do this first as part of, and yeah, if it's life-threatening, of course, go get it checked out. But it's really important. Your example is beautiful. Yeah.
The body is always trying to tell you something, isn't it? No matter if it's through a thought or a feeling, the body is always trying to communicate with you to let you know that there's something going on that you need to address.
I think so. That it seems to be like that. Sometimes, like I said, it can be small things. Small issues will come to light, but you just have to make a little bit of an adjustment, tweak it here and there, and you think, "Oh, I'm fine now." And it's not always deep therapy and deep work. It's just tiny bits, but it's where your body takes you. That's where we go.
Yeah. So you made a really important statement right early on, and that is the fact that people think that illness is happening to them rather than getting in there and trying to understand what their part is within illness, that it is actually them that's creating the illness by their thought processes. Can you talk a little bit more about this, Avnita?
Yeah, so I also think we should be very compassionate. We don't want to put blame on people and say, you created it. And I'm sure you didn't mean it like that. But no. But what we're trying to say is that these things tend to happen to us through, like, it is beliefs and emotions and traumas and events. So look, we want to be compassionate, but it's not a blame. It's just that see what you can do to bring in, to be responsible for the things that happen to you, your illnesses, and then you can play a part in bringing it down. That's what it is about, accepting something's happening to you. So it's not that we want to rephrase it, because if we say we've created the illness, it sounds like there's blame, and we want to avoid that, because this is happening at, and Paula, it's happening at deep subconscious levels. We don't even know we're doing it. We don't, it's happening, but it needs addressing.
Exactly. So if you were to bring somebody in and they've got severe stomach cramps or a backache and say, now this is your fault, what are your thinking process to have developed backache and tummy ache? They'd be out the door straight away, wouldn't they? Because
my God,
you're focusing the blame on them rather than slowly guiding them through a process to try and discover what the root cause of this illness is.
Absolutely, you're spot on. Because we're not going to do that to people and say, you created it, you go and sort it out now. It isn't. It's about love and compassion, support, guidance. Okay, but yes, take responsibility. Like, you realize there's injustice, and so now you might be more careful. If that started to come on, your neck pain, you might think, where's the injustice in my life? Have I been triggered off again? Mm-hmm. You don't know. You might be able to abort it. People do this because this is the thing. We can never say we cure people because we don't know if they're going to get re-triggered.
Yeah.
So nobody really cures like that. But they get re-triggered from, again, their lives, a person, a situation, something's happening. So we're saying we're trying to, the way I put it is we're taking off layers, okay, to help the person go into spontaneous healing. And but it's just that these beliefs, that you can't, there's something wrong with you, you've got this diagnosis, you're going to have to live with it, it's creating limiting beliefs, and you can't then take off the layers. It's really hard to take the layers off. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
So how would you start taking the layers off? If someone came to you with chronic back pain, where would you start?
Okay, so that's a really good one, right? Because I've been playing around with this a lot. And right now, if it's a complete layperson who doesn't know me, I would say, actually join my Facebook group, okay? And I can mention that later, the name of it. But if they came to me and they're in, like, it's debilitating and, they just need urgent attention, I would say, you know what, take one-to-one. And then, because otherwise we can do it with simple belief work. Interestingly enough, it can be years of pain, but you can do simple belief work and bring it right down, and sometimes even clear it, okay? But if it's something that I feel, okay, there's more stuff going on, you need urgent attention, then the way I do it is I'll say, okay, feel into your back pain. Let's bring your attention in, and we breathe, we be very present. Okay, so leave all your doubts, everything to one side, and let's do it together. So we're breathing in, and I can do these sessions on Skype. So it's because it's all talking and feeling. I actually don't need the person, face to face, right with me, in present in the room. And then as a person drops into their back, they'll describe it to me. How does it feel? The color and shape. Is it throbbing? Is it stabbing? What is it? Sharp? Give me the exact description. So it's really it's an accurate way of working. I'll put it that, more accurate. Not 100% accurate, because it's always a process for the person.
Mm-hmm. And it's also down to their perception, isn't it, of the way that they feel and the way that they feel about events that's happened to them within their life.
Well, yes and no, because some things, yes, we'll clear it like that, and it's a perception. Some things are still harder, and that's what I mean by process, because even as I know I've had transformation of health over the years, I'm much, much fitter, stronger, everything, and in less pain than ever, I'm not 100% there. Okay, I do get a bit of pain in a knee and shoulder, but it's so small, and I know I can do all the activities, I do everything that I want in the gym. It doesn't hold me back at all. So I understand about the process, but to catch the exact process, the exact thoughts, sometimes it's tricky. And sometimes, just like I said, it depends on the person. And, if somebody says, but what is the thought? You can't always find it, okay? Because we're dealing with the subconscious mind, it's very tricky.
It's really important to acknowledge this as well, is that you don't actually need to know what it was. It doesn't matter how you perceive that event or what you believe about it. As long as you acknowledge and release that, the healing will still come anyway, won't it?
Again, yes and no, because I've gone through some things where I've acknowledged, I've accepted, and because I'm an expert in this now, so. But I still get it. I still have my processes running. So I'm doing my very best. And then, but that's when I say, but it's okay then to do other therapies. It's fine. There's no trying to prove anything, or, they're right, we're right, who's wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's about the process. We all own it, that we have processes going on. Life is a process. It's a journey. Okay. And we have layers. That's it. And then how can we best create the healing so that we are moving forward, we are healthier, we are in control, we are active. If things got really bad, like the pain got really bad, I know something's happened, I need to go and sort it out, because it shouldn't be like that. We need to, and it's just something that I need to do.
Yeah, I know on some days when I get up, I'm not feeling the best. I've released a lot of traumas and events in my own life. And of course, I already mentioned the neck problem. I actually had that released by hypnosis, which was amazing. But there are still some days where I may get a neck ache. And I become more aware of it, because the physical problem is still there, but my perception of pain towards it is not there anymore, unless I get triggered, and then I can get a brief flash of pain through my neck. So there is no such thing as healing completely when you've had bone grinding on bone and there's a physical issue there, but you can control the pain side of it, the perception of pain.
Okay, well, see, this, I think this can be clarified, as in the physical is intertwined with the emotional. You can't really separate it. And it's not just about perception, it's actually, we can clear pain completely by working through trauma, beliefs, events like that. But it's the journey. See, this is your journey. Like I had and your neck pain might be part of it, and to clear it was great. You probably got it down 95% or whatever, and now you get it once in a while. That's brilliant.
Yes.
Now, but for me, but people give you a range of stories. So some people say, but I had debilitating, a shoulder pain, whatever, for the longest time. They'll do some work and it completely goes. They never, ever get it again. Because so we can't really say it's perception and it's physical. That's actually part of the argument of that I'm saying you can't keep saying something's physical, because it's just the way it's coming up in our bodies, but it's an emotional thing. Yeah. And it's showing up as a physical, but the underlying is emotional, and it's very, very just deeply intertwined with the both really close. So like I had 9 years of back pain many years ago, and I tried everything, the osteopath, had x-rays and physio, and it wasn't going, and nobody brought to my attention about mind-body healing. I just stumbled across it by searching Amazon, and I found a book, and I did some work on it, and I thought, wow. And actually I was a bit annoyed. I thought, why didn't they just tell me this? It's so easy. And you know what? I never got that low back pain again. And I'm going back about good 10 years or something. I can't remember. But so that's my point about the layers and the processes, because now look, I've done deeper work with the shoulder and knee, and that brought it down a lot. Or if I get triggered off and it goes high, I know what to do. And that's a bit, I have to check my perception, like you say, and then, but to keep thinking there's something wrong with it, I'm not sure about that. Now, but the back pain didn't come on, not the low back pain. And if it did, maybe once or twice it did in the last, 10 years, I know exactly what to do to completely bring it down, and it's gone again. Yeah. So this is the brilliance of it. And I think we need to be clear that physical is really close to the emotional. It's almost like we don't know. It's really hard to separate them. We won't really know until we do the belief work. Yeah. This is interesting. This is why I bring belief work in it, because you don't know if it's the belief. But also it's a journey for everyone. Your journey will be different to mine, and the next person.
Yeah, I mean, we are this body that we have is an amazing asset. It's the only thing that we're ever gifted for free, and it's so complex and so intelligent, much more powerful. Our mind is much more powerful than a computer, and we are the programmers of that. And this is the amazing thing. We can decide what we want within our mind, and we are co-creating, like you said in the beginning. So for us to admit to being ill without looking at the causes of it, it's not the best path forward, is it?
So clarify the question again, Paula. So admit to be.
If we're sort of admitting that we're ill, we're the one that's then saying that we're ill. How do we go forward from that?
Yeah, I mean, we do have to acknowledge what's going on, but it's being, I think, educated to know how to move forward. But that's why we can't. A huge topic like this can't be done, like I said, in a few paragraphs or a few sentences, and we have to be very clear in what we're saying. I'm trying to be as clear as possible, but, and we do need to own what happens to us, but without the blame, and also, lots of compassion and support.
Yeah, I think over the years, we have developed a lot of thought patterns, beliefs, which do perpetuate our poor health because of the effects of the emotions on the body. And I know that when I started to let go of some of my limiting beliefs, some of my victimhood, there was a massive difference upon my appearance, upon my physical body. And I've seen this in other people, and no doubt you've seen that as well, haven't you, Avnita?
Yeah, I mean, that's brilliant, because you owned that process, the journey. I think that's fantastic, to let go of your limiting beliefs. But it's just not clear to us sometimes. You know, when we're ill, we need someone to say, it's here, go here, do this, and to point it out. Then we can see the light. Otherwise, like somebody, you know, you're you know, very trained, and you know, you've got all your qualifications, you're, you know, hypnotherapist, but so you know all this stuff, but not everybody will have those skills. So you know where to go. Not everyone knows. They need the guidance and the coaching.
Yes, there's one thing that I must acknowledge, and that is secondary gains. You're aware of that, aren't you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and this, I think, plays a massive, it has a massive impact on health. That for secondary gains, some people would prefer to keep the illness because of what it gives to them. It gives them attention. It gets people rallying around them. It gets them sympathy. It gets them empathy. And to me, this is one of the biggest blocks in healing, that people are not prepared to let go of it because of secondary gains.
I love your honesty, and you're just being really clear. It's really funny, but yeah. See, I wouldn't bring out secondary gains until I've worked with someone for a little while, and then I point it out, because it sounds a little like, you know, that lack of compassion. You can say it to me and I understand it.
Yes.
And maybe your audience do too. I hope, you know, that's great. But not everyone does. They'll think, you know, what are you saying? Of course I'm not keeping it on purpose. And the one thing people always come back to me with, almost always, clients, if I say to them, what are you gaining from this? They'll all say nothing. What can I possibly be gaining from this illness? They always come up with that one. And then I have to push them. But if you had to give an answer, what would you say? And then they'll say things like you said, you know, I get attention, you know, all this. And it's like the illness takes on a new energy. It's like it's got an energy in its own right. And we're feeding it that energy. You know, here you've got secondary gains, and here we talk about it more. And here, like, you know, I'm not going to face my life issues, and here it's like it's got a whole energy, and we make it bigger and bigger, but it's about collapsing that energy and trying to release.
Yes, it does have to be acknowledged at some time, though. I mean, another one is, if I get better, I'll have to go back to work again.
Yeah.
I mean, it might just be a bit too much to say to people, but I'm not saying you would say that, but it does have to be considered. You know, secondary gains is a massive impact upon our health.
For sure. So this is where I think having the connection with the client comes in, because you can gauge what they're you know, willing to talk about, and hopefully they'll be honest and open about things. That's where you get the biggest, I think. That's not even true. You know, I can't keep saying that, and I can't say that just because somebody will acknowledge and be honest that you get most transformation. It's not even true. Like I said, I think the best way to say is it's a process, it's a journey. People have different layers and different points, and that's what we have to all accept. Yeah, but I think it's great to really feel where your client is and try and deliver everything with that love, and yet a bit of a, you know, gentle push, like you're saying, you know, admit something. Go here.
Well, we do have to acknowledge, and we do have to be responsible for our health, not just physical, but our own mental health. And when you say that to somebody that's got a mental health condition, they will just go at you. But you know, there does come a time where we have to say, okay, we've been peeling back the layers, and we appreciate that we are part of this process, and it's not happening to us like we said before, but we are part of this process, and we have to stand up and say, okay, I'm going to accept responsibility and help myself move forward. That's a
beautiful way of putting it, Paula, that I'm part of the process. So, you know, that we are co-creating. And I think, you know, we don't want to fall into the same trap and say, oh, you know, we can heal people, you know, we're going to do it. Or it's just the same thing. Okay, please just own as much as you can, and let's support you. And let's with all the, you know, intelligent things out there, how can we utilize it? All the information and therapies out there. What's the best way to go forward? I think that's really cool.
Walk me through, Avnita. If I was to come to you as a new client today, and I've got chronic back pain, what would be the first thing you would suggest to me?
Okay, so if you've never heard of me before and you don't know about mind body healing, I'd ask you to join my Facebook group, because I'm just teaching, and from the teaching of that, I can shift beliefs. Okay, I'm just delivering it in a range of modules, about 9 modules, and it's free. So I'm just trying to switch people's thinking, and then try and explain how pain works, because this is the interesting thing, is that structural abnormalities and pain are not really related, okay? Because you can have one condition and get no symptoms whatsoever, and you can have symptoms and get nothing wrong with you. You know, they'll do all the x-rays and say that there's nothing wrong. We can't even figure it out. So this is really important to understand, and this is the place I want to try and take people, is that, but what if you have that abnormality? What if you have the herniated disc? What if you have the frozen shoulder and, you know, degenerative disc or whatever? But then what if I can take you to a place of no symptoms, no pain? This is the course is going to do that. That's why I say deal with any of these ones.
So when someone comes along and you'll say, okay, join the Facebook group, and they'll go through the 9 modules, how long are each module roughly? Is it video or is it reading?
Mostly videos. I've started with like 5-10 minutes, and it might increase to about 15 each video. And I might have a few documents attached and some worksheets, but then there'll be some exercises, mental exercises that people do to help them come out of it, and they can work fabulously. I strongly recommend following this course, because it's I've seen the results. I've already helped people,
and that's without a consultation with you.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah, like it's just learning. It really can work,
and it's all for free. So
yeah,
that is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
And that's because you actually enjoy helping people, don't you?
I love it. I think this is my life's calling, to speak about this subject. It's been really hard to find it. Therapy is great. I love seeing the transformation, but I think keeping quiet and not speaking up is not the way. So I actually think this is my life's calling, or I'm following it now, that to push the buttons and to stand up to people. We're being told, oh, it's not possible, and I'm saying, but it is, and I can give you examples. Yes. And we need to shift our thinking in the way healthcare is conducted. So I'm following that. That's why I love it.
Yes. Yeah, I can see you're really excited about it as well. Yeah. It is amazing, that we all too often, our first response is to go to the doctor instead of saying, okay, what is it? What's going on inside? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling ill? The first response is pop a tablet, or it's go to the doctor. And that is a shame.
Yeah. See, there are things we can do that we can help ourselves. You're right. We don't have to always run to the doctor. And as we said, we're not saying no. That has to be really clear. We're not saying don't go to the doctor, okay? If it's life-threatening, if it's feeling worried, new pain, do it. But even with new pain, you can do about EFT. You can figure out what happened in your life. Can you resolve that? Can you bring in more calm? Yoga's great, meditation, physical exercises, swimming, all the weights. It's all good, okay? Mm-hmm. Acting normal. This is what as part of the course, actually, acting normal.
Yeah.
Because we're told all the time, don't do this, don't do that. But these things are adding layers. So that makes it worse. But yeah, we need to be more empowered. And yes, not to fight illnesses, but to understand them. And when we are told of scary things, to understand that, maybe they're not 100% correct. Maybe I can do something, and I don't have to go into complete freeze or, a flight. We can actually do other things. Okay, what if I can accept it? And perhaps there's ways of moving forward. You need to keep open, because you know what? There are miracle healing stories. I don't talk about that much, because I want to make what I talk about really easy and really accessible, and it's a powerful tool to use. And that's just understanding pain, switching it all, okay? we hear of cancer healing stories and, whatever, anything. It's, my God, it's possible. So all these possibilities can be really put to the public arena rather than hidden.
Yeah. Do you address what people are eating and drinking as well in relation to illness?
Never, hardly.
Never. Because I think that's really interesting that the food that we take, how that can actually affect us. And it's massive, of course, because we're all having too much sugar, too much salt, too little water. And somebody who's got a headache, it could be as simple as going to get a nice fresh glass of purified water that can help the headache. So it's not always to do with emotions. It could be that you're dehydrated, that you've got a headache. So certainly the food and the fluid intake that we have daily can affect the way that we feel and the responses in the body.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, nutrition plays a big part. The way I see it is that everyone's intelligent. I'm just going to deal with the beliefs and emotions. And because I know they're hugely powerful and have such an impact in our lives, that's my job. Okay, this is my job. And even then, by just doing this, like I said, all the symptoms can drop, and it happens again and again. So I don't even need to go into the nutrition and the exercise and all that, except for when I'm saying to someone, act normal. Yeah. But I agree with you.
And you know what? When you are feeling more like your normal self, whatever your normal is, because everybody's normal is different, you will find that the way that you eat and drink changes anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
Your body's really intelligent, and it's saying, okay, I know that burger's not good for me. I know that Coca-Cola needs replacing with a nice fresh water instead. And your body seems to automatically be attuned to that once you're feeling great again.
Yeah, you're right. I think we all know about nutrition, but we're talking about the beliefs and emotions that people don't know about. So that's why I just feel like I'm doing my job, and that's to be vocal about beliefs and emotions in our health. Nutrition and all that, we know that, and we can go to other nutritionists. I don't have to give that information, but you're right. It's important. We should be doing it.
So if someone today is suffering from chronic back pain, what would be your number one tip, apart from coming to your Facebook group? What would be your number one tip to give them?
Great question. Okay. Try and think of it as, right, take this nugget of information, and it's this. If you've got something like diagnosed, like I said, slip disc or stenosis, anything like that, remember that you can have structural abnormalities and no pain. And then vice versa, you can have pain and no structural abnormality. They're not really linked because the pain's coming from your life, okay? It's coming from like you said, your body's talking to you, it's communicating with you, and it's telling you, somebody's bothering you, or maybe you need to start thinking about a different job. Is it your job that's triggering you off? Have a think what's causing the pain. Avoid thinking there's something wrong with your back, and see that is something, what's causing it. Try and resolve that. So I would say try just changing your thoughts to there's something wrong with your back physically to what's in your life that you need to sort out. I would do that.
Yeah. A bit like my example with the spondylosis in my fourth vertebrae. It's a physical issue, and if I'd have believed that it was going to remain a physical issue all of my life, I would still suffer that pain. But going through the process of letting go of that, I have no pain.
Oh my God, that is music to my ears. You've just summed it up beautifully. We could have done this in one sentence, Paula. That's fabulous. Exactly. I'm really glad you pointed it out like that, because this is the exact thing I'm saying. You had a diagnosis, you had a label, you defied all that, you said, okay, but maybe I need to do this. You did your emotional, you got it down, you got rid of it. And even if you get it sometimes, you know how to cope, you're resilient, and you know how to bring it down.
And I've never suffered any pain from that, unless someone is really stressing me at the office, and then I'll get a little twitch, and it's all related to the injustice. Because if I think someone's being unfair to me, I'll just get that little twitch in my neck that's saying they're not being fair with you, Paula.
Isn't it
So
amazing?
I know exactly what my issue in my neck is related to,
Yeah.
which is people treating me unfairly. So
Wow.
now and again, it just sends me a reminder. And it makes me think, okay, what is it in me that's triggering them to treat me like this?
Wow. But you're very empowered then.
Yeah.
Not everyone is at that place. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's taken me a long time to get to this place, and I can get through most things now. Whereas before I would fall to the floor and I'd scream and say, "Oh my God, why is this happening to me? Why am I ill?" Now it's okay. Let's step back. What's going on? I might stumble sometimes because I'm not perfect. I'm a human. I've still got feelings. I've still got emotions. But I haven't been to the doctor since 2010 because I'm responsible for my health.
Fabulous. Amazing.
It is.
You're just doing great. And what you're trying to do, bring all these things out to the world. It's amazing. Well done.
Well, there's people like you that are doing this as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what you're doing is amazing because you're offering 9 modules free on your Facebook, which can resolve somebody's fibromyalgia or their backache or some chronic pain.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is come to your Facebook page. And then possibly they could have a consultation with you if it's not fully resolved, or to get further guidance.
Perfect. You've explained it beautifully. Yes, thank you. You're right. Yeah, I think it's building momentum. All this, healing and taking responsibility, the co-creation. It's just phenomenal, and I think we should speak out. There's plenty of us. You have tons of friends, and I have tons of friends, and then we've had this meeting, and it's just going to go forward. I think.
I think the first thing is to actually believe that it's possible.
Amen. Yes. Amen. Yes.
Because most people say, "Oh, don't be stupid. How can the mind and body be connected? How
Yes.
can that emotion possibly affect me? How can that feeling possibly affect me?" But it does.
You're right.
It really does. And people do not understand this concept. Not all people. Some are very on it. I didn't. When somebody first said to me, everything that your experience is affecting your body, I said, "Don't be stupid." But even so, that made no difference whatsoever, because after that treatment in 1998, in a matter of weeks, this pain had gone altogether. It wasn't immediate, but in a matter of weeks, I was off the strongest painkillers you could ever imagine. They were 8-hourly, very powerful ones.
Wow.
I couldn't sleep at night.
Yeah.
The pain was so bad. I got deferred pain in my arm. I couldn't drive. I couldn't exercise. It completely debilitated me.
Yeah. Wow.
And when they said to me about this connection, I just thought, "Oh yeah, okay. Just get on with it then, let's see what happens." I had no belief whatsoever that hypnotherapy would help me. And it doesn't matter which medium you're using. It could be hypnotherapy, it could be NLP, it could be lifestyle prescriptions, it could be energy work. They all, in a roundabout way, do a similar thing.
I agree. You're right. You're right. With this course that I'm just hoping to enlighten people, and I think with that switch in mindset can trigger it off anyway. It can.
Yeah, it's all about your mindset to things. And whatever you say, you are right. If you're saying, "I'm ill," you're right. If you're saying, "I'm not able to heal myself," you're right. But alternatively, if you're saying, "I'm going to have a go at this, I am going to heal myself," you're right as well.
Yeah. And I like the way you said, about, you had that diagnosis, you had the label, but see, you could have held on to it. And I know, because I've been trying to tell people for 16 years since that back pain of mine. I had it, I can't remember. It's been a long time, many, many years. And when I'm trying to tell people, but just, try these affirmations, this is what's happened, or read this book. No, it's a physical problem. You don't know the depth of it. Yours was in your head. I've got a real problem. That's when I can't fight, and I think, okay, then hold on to it. I don't know, I can't do anything. And it's like you're saying, you have to start believing it. So actually in my course, I am trying to really rephrase things and explain, and so that people who are completely lay can pick it up. And in fact, some people who I find are healers or therapists, or they're still missing a vital piece of information, which is about the belief work. Because like I was saying, it's so ingrained in the diagnosis, and we're so head on that there's something wrong with us. We have this structural problem, and yet the pain relief can come when we let go of it. But I've got to show you how to do it.
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to do as well. But you're right. If that doesn't work, then maybe try a bit more deeper work with me or with other people. There's tons of great therapists out there. But it's about opening our minds and allowing these things in.
And just to reiterate, it isn't that the physical problem isn't still there. The physical problem with the fourth vertebrae is still there. I still have spondylosis, but it doesn't affect me because I don't have the pain anymore.
This is it. See, just because we get rid of the pain, you can still carry on having that. Did you call it
spondylosis? Yes.
Yeah. See, I can't even pronounce half these names. But the point is, that's what I was saying. You can have these issues. You can have this spongy blah, blah, blah. And you can have stenosis. You can have herniatus.
Yeah.
And get pain.
And the NHS suggestion to remedy my problem was to fuse all the neck bones together, so I would have to do this.
Oh, I can't even hear it. It's like,
and that was like, no way.
But not everyone will have that awareness, Paula. You have the understanding, the awareness, and the openness to do it. Most people just think that it's a medical profession. We need to follow this to absolute. It's not the absolute.
So this just clarifies the point that we started off with, which is how can a diagnosis make us worse?
Yeah, it can. But I also want to stress that I'm not saying don't see the doctor. I'm saying go with an open mind.
Absolutely. You have to have the diagnosis first, in my opinion, before you can get the healing.
Okay, not necessarily. What I'm trying to say is we have choices. So you can see the doctor, and you should, especially with new pain, fine. But it depends where the person's at, the processes, the layers and all that. Like if it's me, if I have a new pain, I don't need to get diagnosis because I know I can work through it energetically. Someone like you will probably do the same. But if it's someone who's not sure, and then I think, I feel afraid or whatever, I'd rather go and see the doctor and get a diagnosis. Fine, get it. But it doesn't mean it's set in stone, and you need to just bring in awareness. You can still work through it. That's the point. And because it's such a grey area and it's an art, this is the art of it. How to create this healing and still use the medical profession, still use therapies out there and do it effectively.
I'm not talking about things, like just a general headache, but I'm saying something like the spondylosis. I had to get it diagnosed. But, if I've got a toothache or a headache, I will instantly go to use EFT. So I think that's wonderful for resolving minor issues like a headache or toothache. But if it's something serious, you really must go and see your doctor and get a diagnosis first.
Yeah. But it still doesn't mean you bring in the fear. So I know I'm, bringing in a lot of points, but I do really like people to keep fear down, no matter what it is. It's part of co-creating. We don't have a choice in these laws. They're laws of energy, part of laws of energy that we accept. We bring the fear down, the fight, the resistance, work through it, and then, do whatever needs to do.
We are energetic beings. So, we have to work with the energy, which is what you're working with.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, all I can say, Avnita, is this has been a very enlightening show today, and I just trust that the audience listening that's got any sort of chronic pain will join your Facebook group. I will make the links available on the YouTube video and also on the audio, because it's really important that people start to understand this concept and start to take responsibility for their own health as well.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really honoured you did that, and it's been a pleasure to
it's been fun having you on the show. We have got history together because we did some training together. You succeeded where I didn't because I gave up, but that That's not that I don't appreciate what you're doing. I absolutely do. And I may go back and take my studies up with lifestyle prescriptions again at some time, because I think it's very important work.
That's great. But Paula, you've got your own strengths and you know that, and your journey is perfect for you. And things that didn't work out for me, perfect for me. It's working, it's unfolding perfectly if we allow it.
And that's a really fabulous way to end the show, that everybody's journey is perfect for them and they are exactly where they need to be in their journey in life right now.
I think so. Yeah, I agree.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Big hug.
Big hug, and thank you to the audience for tuning in as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.